It's Friday, May 28th, and you're listening to The Drive. Good morning, Catherine. How are you? It's, if you're like me, this is kind of exciting because for most of our listeners who are in the U.S., this is the start of a long weekend. So this is good times, exciting. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Daryl Preal. How are you doing? I'm doing great. I mean, with the slight exception that after having some really good weeks of great weather over here in Toronto, today is rainy and it's cold. But hey, it's Friday, one more week, which is crazy. We are hitting halfway of the year. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe it. It's June.
Well, yeah, we're going to be starting June, which will be the 6th month of the year. So yeah, it is crazy. I was having that thought the other day because, like you and I, right, we're both in the sales game. Everything's measured in quarters, months and quarters. It's like, holy smokes, where did the second quarter, we're coming to the end of the second quarter. And then it's the old panic moment going, okay, well, we said we're going to do this at the start of the year. And I haven't started this, and we're behind on that. And then I have all these, I say hyperventilating. Then I curl up in a ball and I rock back and forth. So, hey, that's it. We had the long weekend last weekend because I'm in Ottawa. You're in Toronto, Canada. We have, for those who aren't familiar with the Canadian holidays, our long weekend, which we colloquially refer to as May 2-4 weekend, which ironically, for the first time in ever, the holiday weekend was on May 2-4 this year. Actually, that never, ever happens. It's always like May 20th, May 25th, May 19th. But this year it was May 2-4. It was on May 2-4. That's kind of funny. It's a celebration of Queen Victoria's birthday. And that's why we all get a national holiday here in Canada. That's right. The same Queen Victoria who has been dead for well over 100 years in England. We still celebrate her birthday because why not? So there you have it. But this weekend, of course, is the Memorial Day weekend. And Catherine, I'm taking Monday off, holiday, official day on my vacation allocation, so that, because it's going to be quiet. We're not going to have any of our American patrons reaching out to us, wanting demos, tech support, whatever it might be. So it's a perfect time to take it off. So I'm going to have 2 weeks of back-to-back long weekends, and I'm very excited about that. So that's my story, my friend.
I bet you are.
For those who are just joining us, just a reminder, we have Outbound Conference coming up only in a couple weeks. Talk about time moving, time ticking. Outbound is approaching hard and fast right now. So check it out. VanillaSoft 100 is the code you want to use to get $100 off. You can join live or in person. Yes, right. In person. If you want to go to, just go to outboundconference.com. We are. VanillaSoft is the main sponsor, and we would love to have you join us. It's the only show in the industry put on by sales reps for sales reps. So check it out. Also, a big shout out to our friends at the Sales Experts channel. They host us every single week. We're grateful for that. If you want to check out the world's most prolific compilation and aggregation of industry experts on all things sales related, over 75 individual topic-specific sales experts. Check it out at the Sales Experts, and we thank you for those. Finally, Ollie wanted me to give a little shout out, little plug, little promo. And there's a tie-in here. And I'm going to tease you now, and then I'll tie it in later on. I'm sneaky that way. AutoClose, whom you know is a VanillaSoft brand. We acquired them last year. It's a fantastic email-only cadence, sales cadence platform, has launched a partner program. So if you want to make a little extra money doing referrals and all that wonderful stuff, then you can do that. And all you have to do is email Ollie Whitfield, ollie.whitfield@vanillasoft.com, and he will give you the VIP sneak preview. So look for that. That's coming soon. And that's the teaser on the partner program. Now, Catherine, it's time for money. And I said I was going to tie it in later on, that little teaser I gave in the intro. Well, I'm here already tying it in. Here we go. PartnerStack, Canada's #1 company to work for, apparently, which is news to me because I'm Canadian. You think I would know that. I thought VanillaSoft was Canada's #1 company to work for. But there you have it. They just raised a Series B of $29 million. Not a bad little chunk of change. Catherine, what would you do with $29 million?
You're asking the wrong person, because I am all about really, and you know me, like I like enjoying and obviously giving back a lot. So for sure, I would, put a chunk right there to travel and visit different places around the world and just do fun things pretty much every single day. But more than anything, I would look for opportunities that I can give back. Rather, either just by creating maybe a non-for-profit or an actual organization that would be just focused on only giving back to community. So that's what I would do. Are you giving me $25 million? Yes.
I noticed that nowhere in what you would do did you say that you were going to give me any money. Just an observation, not judging you, but I did pick up on that subtlety.
Well, that's giving back to the community,
now, for
right?
those who don't know what partners,
that could be included.
That's right. They were good. Get in line, Prail. For those who are not familiar with PartnerStack, and don't quote me on this one, I'm winging this in the description, but basically it's a platform for managing your partners, right? So think about that. Whenever if you think about any kind of sales organization, you can have inbound sales coming in where, you maybe have Google Ads and they find you and they come in to you. You could do outbound activity, which is what Catherine's whole team does. Purpose of this show, where we're actually out there finding business, through lots of advanced techniques and targeting and saying, hey, would you like to buy our wares? And then, of course, the third option there is the channel, the distribution channel, which is partnerships. So HubSpot would be a good example of that. They grew on the channel where they had all these different marketing agencies or business development agencies or system integrators, advocating that their clients implement HubSpot, and then they would sell additional add-on value-added services. So the channel program becomes a viable, huge source of revenue that many people are not actually utilizing, and they should be. Hence why AutoClose is launching a partner program. See, I told you I was going to bring it back. PartnerStack allows you to manage all of the challenges and issues and logistics related to that, whether it be encouraging your partners to physically go and do promotions to drive new referrals, or giving them unique codes that are specifically theirs so that way they make sure they get recognition for any of their referrals, or paying them their commissions on a regular basis, or running contests, or whatever it might be to make the channel program a productive tactic. So that's what PartnerStack does. They're one of many vendors in the space, but they're certainly one of the top vendors. We ourselves recently became PartnerStack clients. I like to think because of us is why they actually raised $29 million US. I think that's reasonable. Don't you think that's reasonable, Catherine?
Yeah, why not? Totally. There's a new logo in town and a Canadian logo. So yes, of course.
What more do you need to say? I love in our show notes here, Ollie's got wonderful little things here, little anecdotes that often you folks never see, but we get to see. And I'm just going to share this one. He says, good for them. Nice people. I hope they go big on educating everyone on why it's a no-brainer to have partnership agreements with strategic partners. Massively slept-on strategy. That's going to be a UK thing. I've never actually referred to something as a slept-on strategy, but I'm sure in the UK, that's probably something that they use every single day. So that's it. Money, money, money. Done. No more money, money, monies to announce this week. So it's a slow week. I think it's the whole Memorial Day lead on. Catherine, you're going to like this next story as we go into corporate affairs. All right. We always joke about this. We talk about the same vendors all the time, it seems. Sales engagement vendor, same category. Xant. That's Xant for those who are thinking you might spell that with a Z, or as we say here in the colonies, a Z. Xant released People Finder. And Catherine, I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts on this one. People Finder is a feature in their Playbooks app that analyzes buyer behaviors and then suggests additional contacts they should engage in the buying committee. So what are your thoughts on this one, Catherine? Is People Finder a worthwhile feature, or is that something we can get already, or what?
I guess it's really just a solution to, more than anything, help new talent acquire best practices. And you and I, we've talked about it. Sometimes people just get in the hype of, I have these contacts, and they'll just go into it. And so they need to just, step away a little bit and try to map out those accounts. Which for enterprise relationships, of course, that's kind of the bread and butter, how you would say, right? It's how big your network is so that you can get more champions and get conversations going. But it doesn't come as easy, and sometimes it's hard to find that information. So this is a great tool. I find it, however, more for the new folks rather than the tenured, because as you grow and you find your own ways of just gathering that information and being able to really build on your connections to help with their support, help you build on your mapping of that account, then you really won't need these type of solutions. But I think it's, you know me, it's a great complement to a sales process. I just don't know how big that's going to be.
If I'm reading this right, there is a bit of a caveat, a little warning, or piece of information you should know. And basically, if I'm reading it right, it says it uses insights from all interactions on the platform to build comprehensive buyer profiles. Insights are then verified with third-party data, anonymized and encrypted. In other words, they're looking at, if you're in an account where other Zant users have already sold into and identified the buying committee, then it can tell you these are the people you should be talking to. But again, it all requires that other users have gone into that account. So I guess I like this in theory, but part of me is cynical, as we all know, and I'm not sure how much extra value this is going to add other than a killer marketing pitch and in a demo. This would sell because it really does rely upon the platform only. And as we know, it's a busy category. You could be using VanillaSoft or Zant or SalesLoft or Outreach or Salesforce or others. So right away, the validity of this drops a little bit. So it's one of those neat features, but is it really a feature? Or would I go somewhere else for that? That's just me, the cynical side of me. And I'm not saying that because they're in the same category as we are, because we actually don't compete with them. They sell in a different target market than we do. And I respect a lot of the stuff they've done over the years. I'm just not convinced that that's a huge differentiator. But it's great marketing. It's great hype. You're smiling.
And you know what?
Come on.
I'm good. Yeah. Because as I am hearing you speak and I am reading here a couple of information, I mean, like, it seems to be they're trying to play against LinkedIn.
Yes, that was my thought
when
too.
You go into LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and you start mapping out your account, right? You start creating your list, and it starts showing you might be interested in this other person. And that's the logic behind it, right? Like, this person had that role or is in that industry or might be interested in the same topics as the one that you're searching, with the big difference that everyone lives on LinkedIn. And so, of course, the reach out of LinkedIn would never, and we have to be completely transparent with that, will never be able to be matched by any other.
Yes.
idea.
And I even
right? And
go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say. Like, that's what I'm thinking right now. It's like they're trying to be the second option for those that might not feel comfortable with LinkedIn or don't like LinkedIn or have been burned by LinkedIn. They are positioning it a bit of a different way, but it seems like the premise and the end goal is the same. Now, how can they access enough robust data to help you really in your work? It's going to be a lot more difficult. So that ROI would be just hard, I guess, at the end of the day to reach, rather than if you really go on LinkedIn and you can do it with your own personal account, and start mapping out your accounts as well. So it's tricky.
It is tricky. So my reaction, I went to LinkedIn just like you did. The other option I would go into is like a data vendor, like a Zoom Info, where they have similar, mapping of the accounts and a much broader deployment. And they have dedicated people researching it. So not to disparage what People Finder is, I think it's a dynamite solution. Check it out. It's a compelling feature. But as you said, I could probably get comparable capabilities from other platforms such as LinkedIn Navigator, et cetera. But anyway, check it out. That's their big value prop here, according to their CEO, Chris Harrington, was that it saves reps from wasting valuable selling time looking for prospects or targeting the wrong ones. So there you have it. Moving on, Drift. Drift has announced a couple of new hires. And it's interesting, right? Because Drift I find interesting between you and I, Catherine. Drift was like the talk of the town, the belle of the ball for a couple years there, especially when Dave Gerhardt was their chief marketing officer. Dave left about a year and a half ago, doing his own thing. He's also at another company, an e-commerce company, big on Patreon. And they've kind of gone dramatically quiet since then, which is interesting because you would think with COVID and everybody, kind of working from home, chat would become almost, gotta have it. But they've gone quiet. At least I perceive they've gone quiet. But they have welcomed a brand new vice president of customer success and a chief customer officer. And that on its own. So Bart Hammond is the chief customer officer. Ryan Schultz is the VP of customer success. And they will be leading the company's global field operation with a focus, of course, on helping build a world-class customer experience across onboarding, retention, professional services, and expansion efforts. So I think this is a sign of what I'm seeing more and more. I was on the phone the other day with the brand new head, the chief customer officer at Terminus, as an example. And these are roles we're starting to see more and more, I find, that didn't exist previously in the executive ranks. Why do you suppose that is, Catherine? Why are people hiring? Why are organizations hiring chief customer officers?
Everyone wants to be customer centric. Everyone, talks about how we put our customers ahead and all that stuff, right? But usually there is a bit of a disconnection between what it's down in the ground and obviously that culture, and maybe even driving that forward when strategies are being discussed at that C-level, right? So having that seat at the table. Obviously by creating all these roles, and we go back, for example, the chief revenue officer is exactly the same as just having one person that really represents that entity, for lack of a better word, or that, that group, to really drive, to really ensure that it is part of the strategies and that no detail is being left behind. Also trying to drive a little bit more of that accountability at the end of the day. Because life is busy and it goes very fast. And obviously when you're scaling up on a company, especially, you can get distracted from certain details now and then. So if you definitely want to keep that culture, customer-centric, culture and mentality across the team, you need someone that is really an advocate for it up there. So then it'll be coming down to everyone. I think
the beauty of the chief customer officer role, and you said it, is they really become the advocate for the customer, right? And they're their voice inside that organization, which is different, right? Because how do I put this? A success team would typically look at making sure we're getting them on board, and maybe we're growing revenues, and they look at it from a numbers point of view. What's our customer sat rate? What's our net promoter score? All that kind of stuff. Where the chief customer officer is actively talking to the senior decision makers and every single one of their clients, getting their feedback, how it's used, proactively seeking them, and then advocating on and lobbying on their behalf for certain features or functions or capabilities. This is a conversation I had with Terminus, where I had some concerns about some of the usability of their tool as we were deploying it, and I brought it up, and he actually validated me, and I felt like I was being listened to, which is very different from working with a success person on the phone. Where he said, Daryl, in the 3 months I've been here, I've heard that one particular point you've made probably over 100 times. And my reaction was like, wow, you've heard that over 100 times. How many customers have you talked to? Way to go. Right on, dude. And you just validated me. So it's not like I'm a whiny, bastard. I'm actually, my concern is legit. And I just felt listened to. And what was ironic was that your loyalty goes through the roof. So the chief customer officer really has the ability to kind of identify recurring patterns and trends and issues that could affect your long-term viability, churn, et cetera, which is not what happens in the day-to-day experiences on the phone with your customer success rep. So interesting. There you go. There you go, folks. We just talk about interesting stuff. All right, let's go to the water cooler talk. Water cooler talk. Catherine, are you familiar with the Shield app as it relates to LinkedIn?
No. Educate me, please.
No problem. So the Shield app is interesting. I've not used it, but I've gone to their website about a zillion times to try to, because I got to sign up. I got to do this. And what it is, it's analytics for LinkedIn as it relates to you and your brand and your data. So it's a tool that helps you learn what works and what doesn't, so you can connect with your audience and build your tribe. So that's the big thing. If you want to see, all in one place, we talked about Dooley recently, right? And how it's a simple little tool for user sitting on top of Salesforce.com for data entry and that kind of stuff. This is the kind of same thing. All in one place, you can see your views, your reactions, your comments, your engagement rate, and you can follow your growth month over month. You can understand who's consuming your content, what do they do with it, and where do they come from. So it's the whole idea of analytics for you and your personal brand to grow it. And one of the things the reason we bring it up here, not because it's a paid plug, because it's not, it's just that we're seeing so many people now on LinkedIn utilize this, especially a lot of the thought leaders and influencers. You really, truly do start to see how people are genuinely taking their presence and their brand on LinkedIn seriously. So the question I'm going to put to you, Catherine, is this. In your opinion, and clearly you're being kind of exposed to it the first time, so this will be fun to see your reaction. Do you think this is a tool that would just be the domain of those thought leaders, those public speakers, those influencers? Or do you think this is similarly a tool that every single sales rep should be utilizing to manage their own personal brand and reach and impact? Or is that just too much? Or is that overkill for the average sales rep?
I like it how this is tying back to our conversations this week, Daryl. And I was actually talking to you about that, right? And that I'm a firm believer of your employees are your strongest ambassadors, right? They should be the ones building on the brand constantly. They are the ones that attract other talent. They are the ones to obviously present your brand to their prospects, to the clients, to their networks. I mean, like they honestly are just the best marketing channel for any organization. And so this tool sounds pretty cool for companies that definitely want to build on that, right? So there's a fine line, obviously, and that's where, again, you and I have been talking about is you want them to build their personal brand, but do it in a way that, of course, they are pulling the company's brand with them, right? And I've always told that to my teams. It's my goal to have people saying like, so-and-so is so smart and they know about the industry. Where could they be working? Because they must be working at a pretty cool company, considering they are such amazing people. And now they go and check out the company, right? So now they just assume that, of course, what you're representing right there means there's a culture that is behind them, a company that is behind them. So this is amazing because we will allow, those sales reps, and not only sales reps, but everyone within our organization to really track down what they're doing and be able to make slight changes as they go to increase on that outreach. My only worry, as always, and especially when we have so much data, is, to your point, when it is someone that their business is out of that outreach and that community, of course, they're going to go right in and they will have enough time to really play around with that data and make it more relevant and make their content drive more business, because that's their end and one and only goal. when we're talking about personal brand, there's that fine line. And you also don't want them to go too deep into vanity metrics, right? Because then that can drive them crazy. And we don't want our reps to be too worried about the vanity metrics and forget about prospecting, for example, or following up with their deals. So as always, there's a fine balance. I think the premise is pretty cool. It just needs to have someone really, if it's going to be, kind of tied back into company and strategy and outreach as a company as well, there has to be someone really kind of making sure that everything is under control and doesn't go too crazy. That's what I think.
I love your take. And I was going to express a similar concern around they'll get consumed with the vanity metrics. And you got there, you said the same thing. We are so in line. We should work together sometime. Okay. With that, it's our favorite time of the show. We get to hear Ollie's rant. Ollie, what's on your mind this week, my friend?
What's up, everybody? I'm getting straight into it because I'm taking aim at Clubhouse. I'm not happy. I'm an Android user. I'm proud of that, but they've taken forever to get an Android app out, which is fine. It's their choice. But they could at least make the Android app work. I mean, it is not usable. It doesn't work. Nothing happens at all. For months on end, I see people posting every single day of my life. Here's all these cool rooms we're in. Here's the amazing conversations we're having. Isn't it wonderful? It's the best app ever. I can't live without it. Meanwhile, I'm living without it. And eventually it drops. And I think, okay, cool. A little bit late to the party, but I'll give it a go, see what it's about, see if it's good, and see if I can get some value from it. I get an invite. Doesn't work. Still doesn't work. 3 weeks later, still not on it. I don't know what else to say to you. Have I missed the train? Am I too late to it? Shall I give up? Shall I go on an angry tweet storm? You guys tell me. Help me out. What do I do?
Okay. Catherine, I can't immediately react to this because I am an iPhone user and have been on Clubhouse for some time with no issues whatsoever. But if I recall, you are an Android user. So talk to me. What's the scoop? Is Android not working on the, I mean, this is, all they've done is whine. Every single Android user has whined and complained nonstop, understandably so, by the way, that it wasn't available to them. Now it's available to them. Does it not work? Has Clubhouse dropped the ball on this? Or is this just an Ollie thing?
I mean, let's start by saying that you can definitely feel it in his frustration and how much he's sighing really across every single sentence that he says, that there's a bit of that FOMO. There's a bit of that fear of missing out, that it's really kicking in and it's driving him crazy. So, I mean, Ollie, you might want to check in a bit that of, wanting to be in the middle of every single conversation. Now, two, it's interesting, and I mentioned that to you because I didn't know the Android version had been released, which makes me think why this time around there's not that much noise around it. Because when it came out for, Apple users, it was huge. It was crazy. I'm using that word way too much today, sorry. But there's nothing this time around, right? There's absolutely nothing. And you go in and check out and there's not much information being shared around it. It's a beta version, right? So of course you should expect some kind of hiccups and glitches. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been trying to fight Clubhouse every single day of my life. I have some Apple devices here that I could use, but I don't want to. Just simple respect to my time. I don't have enough time, right, to add on another source of information. But at the end of the day, it'll come, buddy. It'll come. Your time will come. Trust me.
Ollie, I just got this to say to you, my friend. We love you, and someday you might be cool enough to hang out with us on Clubhouse, but it's just not today. You're not cool enough yet, but we still love you, my friend. We still love you. But the other Android users, they're welcome to join us anytime. Are you having challenges on Clubhouse? Let us know. Send us drop us a note, whether it's on LinkedIn or Twitter, or just send us an email. All right, don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Send us your video. Send us a voice message. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us what you think of Ollie and his rants. Who do you like better, Catherine, Daryl? I don't know, but every single week you're going to find us here right at this time. We like to call it ourselves the Catherine and Daryl Show, but you can think of us as The Drive. We'll see you next week, folks. Be good. Bye-bye.
Take care.